For more analysis, we're joined from Washington by Mr. Maher Nicolas, Director of the EU Asian Center. Good afternoon to you, or good evening. I'm not aware exactly of the timing, but you're most welcome here to In Focus. And let me start by asking you, President Trump claims there have been trade talks with China, but Chinese officials deny any negotiations are underway. He also said that he spoke directly with the Chinese president, though the Chinese president declined to specify, or rather Trump declined to specify when or what were the discussions. In your view, what does this scarcity indicate?
I'm delighted to join you today from the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C. It's about lunchtime. It's about, 1 p.m. lunchtime here in America. And a lot of things happened in Washington, D.C. in the past 36 hours. Keep that timeline in mind, 36 hours. So the signals, sometimes, chaotic, but still very interesting signals between Washington, D.C. and Beijing, they all took place between Wednesday night, U.S. time, and Friday, now lunchtime. So the outside world, so if you're not Chinese or if you're not in the White House, these signals and counter signals, they may seem a bit chaotic, right? Because sometimes, President Trump says something, and then Chairman Xi Jinping says, oh no, not really, I'm not sure. So the rest of the world, understandably anxious, because financial markets were very volatile in the past 4 or 5 days. When they hear conflicting signals, they're not reassured. And so that's why there's an impression of disorganization, etc. But in reality, it's a ballet. It's like, two dancers. And these dancers are the eagle and the dragon, the only two remaining superpowers, America and China. And we're witnessing, the birth pangs of a new era. That new era is the age of geoeconomics, when military strategy, diplomacy, finance, and economics and trade are merged into one, right? Mm-hmm. Two big players. And so, yes, there are contradictions, but the news coming out of Beijing and Washington in the past 36 hours have been very positive. Everything is relative because, until Wednesday.
Now, very positive in terms of what? Because we're hearing from the United States statements, including President Trump's saying that he spoke to the Chinese president, and we hear denials from the Chinese side and other measures that are being taken here.
Absolutely. You're right. But everything is relative, not absolute. So until mid-afternoon on Wednesday, it was really bad. And financial operators, so big investors, that would be Canadian, American, Australian pension funds, Middle Eastern, Chinese sovereign funds, where they were selling the dollars. They were selling US stocks, etc. So there was panic on Wall Street for 2 or 3 days. And then from Wednesday onward, Wednesday night, things have recovered. Why? Because first, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he opened the doors to a de-escalation. He said, oh, but maybe things are not that bad with China, and maybe we can de-escalate that terrible trade war. And then 1 hour later, President Trump himself said, oh, yes, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is right. So he was sending a signal to China. And today, the Chinese are kind of responding to the signal. Yes, it's true. 2 days ago, Chairman Xi Jinping said that he did not speak to Trump, but now they're changing tack. And today the Chinese are saying, wait a minute, there are some very important US industrial imports we need for the Chinese industry to operate. And so what we're going to do from today, Friday onward in Beijing, we're going to remove that 125%.
Exactly. Let me ask you this. Now, the 145% tariffs imposed by Trump and China's retaliatory 125% have created economic shockwaves.
Yes.
Now, do you believe this strategy could be sustainable?
So basically, it's the birth pangs of a new era. So basically, the old era lasted 70 years. 70 years is a lot of time. And now for the past few weeks, it's like a woman in childbirth, the child pain of a newborn baby, and the baby is the new era. So of course there is pain. So the world feels the pain, because when you have two giants adjusting and they walk, on a field, the whole field, the earth trembles. So yes, there has been volatility across the globe, across asset classes, bonds, equity, currency, everything, emerging markets, G7 countries, yes. But it looks like now things are getting better. Why? Because the Chinese have sent a counter signal today. So they think for some, not all, for some strategic industrial machine tools and advanced microchips, we in China are going to remove that 125% counter tariff. It's a start, it's a small start, but it means they're playing the game with Trump. It means that they are engaging at very high level in that de-escalation. Now, de-escalation doesn't mean that it's the end of the trade war, because that trade war, in effect, may last much longer, because basically the trade war is a symptom of something new. And that something new is the age of geoeconomics.
Mr. Maher, we really hope that what you're saying is true, and that we're having positive signals here, because we're not speaking about two countries, we're speaking about the biggest two economies in the whole world. Mr. Maher Nicolas, Director of the EU Asian Center, we thank you so much for your analysis and for your insights.